Hi there. So today is Sunday, June 18th, 2023. I am your host, Jennifer Vanderbeek of scrapsoflife.com, and this is our creative week. How are you doing? Oh, how has your week been? It has been an interesting week here. It kind of started off kind of slow and sludgy. I think I was still feeling very just tired from not still hadn't really gotten back into the swing of things since getting back from Arizona. I know it's been 2 weeks, and yet I was still struggling a little bit. But sometimes that happens, and you just kind of got to roll with it the best you can. It was a busy week at the beginning, which so it kind of I felt like I was doing a lot, but in essence, but it was like the only things I was doing was being out of the house Monday and Tuesday. So Monday was one of our book clubs. I told you about the book last week. That was the Accidental Book Club. And then I went to craft night after that in Tallahassee, and I got some more work done on the lace, the building with lace shawl. It is now between that and Friday night. While Todd and I were, just kind of catching up on our TV shows, the new season of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is out. The first episode we caught up with that on Friday, and after we went out to dinner, and so yeah, I have officially finished the sixth section of this kind of like lace sampler shawl. It's actually going to be sideways, but when it's all said and done, and I'm on to the little dividing part, and so it's now 2/3 of the way through. This smocking stitch, I think I mentioned it last week. It's not any more difficult than the other ones, but it was harder to like get the rhythm of it in my head because part of it being because of the way the pattern, the stitch pattern changes. It kind of slides. I know that there's a mistake in here. Um, I somehow a stitch kind of got not necessarily dropped, but something happened and my stitch count was off in one of the sections, and so I just created another stitch to make it work. I think I can see about where it is. But you kind of have to look closely to get it. And um, while some things might have been a smidge off, might be a stitch off alignment wise, I think by the time it's blocked, it's going to be really hard to pinpoint. After all, I'm not getting a grade on this. This is for my personal use and enjoyment. And a done stitch is better than, a done stitch is a good stitch. So I'm still happy about that. I've got 3 more sections to go, plus the kind of zigzag beaded kind of zigzaggy ends that go on both ends. So yeah, still working along on that. Speaking of book clubs, Tuesday was the second book club. Now this was the book that I mentioned that I did not particularly love. And I was a little afraid going into the book club meeting that I was going to be at odds with most of the group. I'm like, I bet this is something that everybody else is going to really love, and I'm going to be the odd person out who doesn't like it. And that's fine. If that had been what had happened, I was prepared for it. It's always a possibility. But it's definitely something that crossed my mind. And that's when we have to be, I think, it's like you can disagree with things, but but like if there's people who really enjoyed something and there's nothing actually wrong with it, it's just, it doesn't jive with you. It doesn't ring. It doesn't have that like ring of truth and appropriateness for your life. It's fine, but we can express that civilly and respectfully to the people who do enjoy it, who do get something from it. Um, you know, and we can all continue on. So that's how it went. But there were actually, in fact, one of the women who I thought, because of what I knew of her background, that she was going to be very pro the ideas in this book. She actually picked up on some of the same things I did in, and made her not like the book as much. And I'm like, oh, okay, see, and this is what comes of presuming. But there was, I see. I wanted to like the book because ultimately it was about, feminism and feminine power and being our own person instead of what society tells us to be. I just, and that part I agree with, but how she went about telling it um didn't work for me. And that's all in delivery, and that's why, I mean, even like in school, we can learn one thing. It's like somebody can try and teach us something. The stuff is true, it's useful, but we don't get it when they describe it. But if somebody else, or even that same person, finds a different way of describing it, a different way of conveying the information, then it will click, then it will work, then it will stick in our heads, and it will be somewhat palatable, or so. It's that same thing. It was her delivery as opposed to. So anyway, as that happen, what that's the book to art club, and so we always do something creative, which is one of the reasons I love this. Reading a book, remember, is creative. You're engaging with someone else's creativity, and that is freaking amazing. But at the same time, this particular book club takes it a step further, and we do something creative relating to the book. And in this case, the group leader had us do this exercise, patterned after Betty Tompkins' Apologia body of work, and where she takes artwork featuring women, and writes over the women in the picture with very like pink pink paint. And these are the reproductions, like torn out of like art history books and stuff like that. And she writes over the figures, some of the figures in there, with words. And there were different things. There was, some of them were quotes, some of them were thoughts, some of them were just jumbles of words. Some of them were, a lot of it actually had to do with like apologies made. In one of the articles I read about it, of two women, or in one case from a woman, that, like the Me Too movement and those public apologies that people give, when they're confronted with a sexual harassment or abuse claims, and they make a public apology, but the artist is making the point that they're not true apologies necessarily. We've all heard someone apologize for something, and it's like, yeah, you don't really mean that from your heart. It's like we want to believe it, but we kind of get the idea that no, it's not true. It's not real. It's not genuine. And so that was like the idea of like the apologia, was that kind of thing. It wasn't actually an apology. It was performative, and inspired by her work, our group leader had printed out, images of artwork and photographs featuring women, in different, some of them were like models and editorial, and others were, again, paintings, others, just all sorts of things. And then she gave us, a list of words to kind of use to start from, and they were all sorts of names for women that were generally demeaning, derogatory, um, infantilizing, just negative in general. And we all know that, I mean, everything from like Honey and Sweetie and this and that to the more profane ones. And so we got to pick a photo from the ones that, she, an image from the ones she'd printed out. And then she brought nail polish that we could use to then write the words however we wanted to do it, however we wanted to interpret this idea. So this is the one I did. I do not know who is in this photograph. I don't know. It strikes me as kind of just the black and white maybe of it kind of strikes me as maybe it being like vintage or retro or something like that. But it's a woman and a man in a hot tub, I guess. It's stone, so is it like a mineral bath, like a Roman bath, kind of like a bathhouse kind of thing? Anyway, they've got a bottle of wine or something over here. They're both smoking cigarettes, and so it's very, I mean, there's no evidence that she is clothed. They could just be relaxing in a spa, or they could be postcoital. It doesn't really matter. But I took this image and I I wrote along her arms and down her back, and then some dripping off of the edge of the bath, words that are applied to women who often who own their sexuality and who do not let society, that was just the direction I chose to take with this photo and the words, the kind of idea. I'm not going to read all of them because we do want to keep this family friendly. And that's why I'm like not zooming in either, but you can imagine some of the words that are on here. They are provocative, but in that case, it's like, well, you should be able to own your own body and understand that, sex is a part of life and that's how we kind of all got here, and you can own that. You don't have to necessarily look down on it, kind of thing. So that's the direction I went, and this was really fun. So again, if you have any kind of curiosity about that, look up Book 2 Art online, because there is a national organization or some sort of like organized bit about it. And then but I found mine through my local library. There could be one through yours. Whereas this was, I guess, higher brow. Well, maybe more thoughtful or something. I took some time out and just kind of had some like little R&R play creativity the other night. And I got out one of like the big coloring books. This one's actually a Melissa and Doug coloring book. And yeah, but it has these great butterflies and roses, and I just grabbed some like watercolor markers. I didn't like watercolor them. They're brush markers, and so I like the brushes on them. And they got a little messy, you can see it's like the paper isn't really meant for this kind of marker use. You can see how much it bled through in the back, but that's why I removed it from the pad and just was using it against a background that could take it, like the outside of the book. But I just had a good couple hours just kind of playing with the butterflies and flowers, and yeah, it got the paper started to kind of rip a little bit and stuff, but I liked the way it looked. And this is to say, whether it's whether it's something practical like knitting, crochet, sewing, which I did more sewing. My project did not go in the direction that I wanted it, so I'm like, nah, I'm just going to put a pin in that. I'm going to wear something else to the party, and maybe I'll revisit those, the tap pattern that I made like for the sleep shorts, perfectly fine. The one I was doing for the costume, I did not choose a good fabric for it, and that's on me. That happens. Yeah, it's like even those, the cake came out okay, but I was just like, yeah, the top I was making, it didn't work. But so yeah, if you're doing something practical and or like traditional art, versus something provocative, and and this could be considered derivative or stuff like that, but it's still kind of makes you think and you're engaging with it, or something as simple as coloring a page in a coloring book. That is to say, all of it is creative, um, and all of it is valid. And then as far as my art streams went, let me head over here. And you can see, I think when we spoke last week, I had finished um, 2 of the 3 large punksicles. The one in the middle is Cherry Bomb, and that was the one that's most recent. And then, oh, come on. There we go. Oh, I kind of did something. I didn't want to do that. And then over here, you can see the little mini punks that I drew. Those kind of, I don't know exactly what I'm doing with them yet. And then I think I'd mentioned something about that I had done this zombie pop drawing. Well, I went ahead and inked that, and it went from there to include a brain freeze, a fruit by the foot, or of or by the foot, some finger food. This was all a product of Friday's Twitch stream, by the way. And then ice cream, the ice cream cone. Yeah, which the ice cream cone and the brain freeze are actually my 2 favorite of these 5 items. But we decided that all this basically came from a zombie convenience store, and one of my chat members, great guy, awesome with puns, kept me in stitches the whole stream, decided that, because I was trying to think 7-Eleven, this, that, whatever, Deaden 11 was what we came up with. So that'll be the last illustration for that set. It's probably going to be, I'm going to do a sticker sheet for it, put it up in the Printful shop, and maybe it would make kind of like a weird spooky tea towel set or something. I don't know. It's just funny. I still have to do a lot of work on them, of course, because they're all black and white right now, and they need to have some kind of color to them. I'm thinking very like retro but almost pastel. I don't want it to be like in your face. I kind of want to play with that a little bit, so we'll see. Let's go back here. And then the other thing I have to report is that I created something else this week, a new schedule. It's not going to affect the YouTube releases or my Twitch streams or anything like that. I actually worked around those, but in light of the fact that I was kind of having a hard time getting myself back into the groove, and I have been kind of coasting for a good while, and I need to not be. I created a new like daily work schedule for myself that works with my natural like compromise of, instead of staying up till 4, I make sure I go to bed by 2, and instead of sleeping till noon, I try and at least make it downstairs by noon, which on good day, on like good days when I'm not like trying, that's about when it usually works. So I'm trying to work within like natural rhythms, but also make sure that I set aside an hour for writing each day, each like work day, which for me, the work week is kind of a nebulous concept. But yeah. But more days than not, this will be the schedule. And then I have relaxation time, and I have time to do admin stuff. But also, I've been doing my art primarily like when I'm streaming, or then maybe in the evenings as catch as catch can. In this case, I want to make sure that I am blocking out that stream block, but that same time period during the week for that 3 to 5, to make sure that I'm making time to work on things, whether it's digital art, whether it's the sculptures, whether it's starting more paintings and completing more paintings, that all of that, it has time. And then in the evenings, I have like, it's a little looser, but I still have time set aside for, it's like, okay, we're going to work on this stuff. So today, for instance, was the first day that I tried to put that into place. I did spend an hour writing before my Twitch stream, and I got 1,300 words written on chapter 3. So yay, day one, it's working. Yeah, so that feels good. That feels really good. Um, and I will continue to kind of like refine the schedule and everything, but it feels good to have an idea and what we're doing, you know? So for me, I hope it helps. I hope it doesn't become like super restrictive, but it just makes sure that I have that time available and dedicated to those projects, because that can only be a good thing. And again, tweak as necessary. So whatever you're facing in the upcoming week, I hope you're able to find a creative solution for it. As always, we have to make time to do the things that are important for us. We have to make time for ourselves. And for me, that absolutely includes making time to fill our creative wells. And in that respect, I think I'm making really good steps towards that for the rest of this month and onward. And I hope that you are able to, if you're looking for that, that you're able to do that as well. So until that's my update for this week. I'd love to hear what you're up to. Feel free to put anything that you've been working on in the comment section below, or check out the Discord link in the description box, and come join us over at the Big Pink House, where you can kind of interact easily with fellow creative fans of either my game streams, my art streams, my books, or just other friends who enjoy getting to know each other and sharing what we're all about. I wish you all the best until next week. Bye bye.